Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gearhart. I'm here with Karen Tenenbaum. She owns Tenenbaum Law. She is a tax attorney and she has something very unique to her firm. She has an app that you can use to find out basic information about tax problems. If you aren't ready to hire a tax attorney yet, you can try the app first. When you are ready, she is an excellent tax attorney. So, hi, Karen.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is so exciting.
It is, yes. So, tell us all about what you do and your app and everything.
So I'm Karen Tenenbaum, Tenenbaum Law. And if you want to ever contact me, we're here as a resource to help you. You could always call me at 631-465-5000. You could email us at taxhelpline@litaxattorney.com or visit our website at litaxattorney.com. So we handle IRS and New York State tax problems. We help resolve the tax problems, but many people can't afford to hire help and they want to do it themselves. And so we created an app. You've heard of telehealth? Well, this is telelaw. And so we could go through the app and I could show you how you could do certain things. So for example, I'll just give you an overview before we even start. You could meet our team. You could, click on and see the profiles of each attorney here. You could get a free consultation and schedule it right here. You could go to the IRS or New York State websites and get really valuable information. And during COVID, each governmental agency has something special for you. The IRS just came out with new IRS tax relief guidance just last week. So we have a link to that. And New York State came out with frequently asked questions that specifically relate to telecommuting. How many people lived in New York City, worked in New York City, and now are working from some other location, a bedroom somewhere? And is it in the same state? Is it in another state? How has their tax situation changed? So we have links relating to each of those. So would you like me to play this and go through it?
Yeah, do you want to play your jingle first?
Yeah, I'll play the jingle. Wait, we have a jingle right now here. Yeah, let's see.
Tax attorneys, call 631-465-5000.
I love that.
Yeah. So, again, we're trying to have, but I guess we're trying to brand ourselves so that you think of us when you have a tax problem and you remember our number, 631-465-5000. So we're really here to help resolve tax problems for small businesses and individuals. And so let me go through this. Let me play this, and we could always, okay, so here. Oh, it takes a minute to load, I guess, from her screen there. I'm sorry about the delay here. It's much quicker. Okay, so here's how you schedule an appointment. And again, you get a free 15-minute consultation. And if you need something after that, we could do it in person, we could Zoom, etc. So let's say here, you want to go to New York State. So with New York State now, if you owe $20,000 or less, you could do your own installment agreement. If you owe $10,000 or less and you're an individual, you could do an offer and compromise. You could go to the warrant page. I could type in everybody's name and see if there's a warrant. If you owe $10,000 or more, they take away your driver's license. And there's such valuable information that's right there on the website, but it's hard to navigate it. And you might not know where to even look. So we're here to help. And this again, is a resource, but you could also do a voluntary disclosure. Let's say you didn't file for many, many years. You could go again to the New York State's website and do a voluntary disclosure. And you only have a limited look back period, no penalties. It's really great. And again, as I mentioned, you could go to the COVID sections. Here, New York State has something, frequently asked questions. And the IRS as well has, here's the IRS.
Yeah,
so there's new guidance.
Yeah, because
and a lot of people want to know, hey, I mailed in a check, but I keep getting penalty notices. What's going on? There's a backlog. What do I do? And so we're here for that. Wait, how do I undo this? Let's see. Stop. Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. Yeah. So if you want to download our app, you go to Tax Helpline, and it's wait. One second. That's the background of her YouTube. We got to get rid of her YouTube. 1 second. Great. Sorry about that. Yeah, so you could go to the App Store, the Apple or Google, and you could download our app. It's free, and we're here to, to be a resource. So you'd be surprised how many people in this generation really want to do it on their own. And I get calls all the time, Karen, I owe money, but I don't know what to do. I can't afford somebody to help me. And so here, try it on your own. And then if you need guidance, well, then you call us. We give you a free 15-minute consultation. And if you need to hire us after that, we could talk about it. You'd be surprised how anybody that you meet could potentially have an issue. Either they owe money, they want to pay overtime, they want to pay less. We also represent people who own more than one home and they claim they live somewhere else and New York State wants to tax them here. And we also represent people who own small businesses. So you might be in the middle of a sales tax audit or an income tax audit. And so there's no judgment here, and we get some pretty good results. Although past results don't guarantee future results. That's my disclaimer.
Well, do you have an example of somebody you helped and how you helped them?
Absolutely. So listen to this situation. A husband and a wife started a business many years ago. It was thriving at the time, and then things happened, and she decided she didn't want to be involved anymore. She was going to stay home with the children. And so she sold her interest to somebody else. The business was not going well. And it turns out they had $1 million sales tax liability. And New York State went after the husband and the wife for the $1 million. The husband said she's not involved anymore. They hired a number of representatives who were not successful in convincing New York State that the liability was not hers. She was considered a responsible person. They were about to take money out of her bank account, out of any of her assets that were available. And we were able to step in, get proven documentation that proved that she sold her interest. Now, because all of the time limits had passed, we had to ask New York State, it's up to their discretion to open up the matter, which they were nice enough to do. We added additional documentation and they agreed in the end. They wiped out the $1 million liability against her. And if you go to my website, litaxattorney.com, and you go to the testimonials page, the husband wrote the nicest letter that I've ever received in my 37 years of practicing law. He said, you changed my life. I don't have to worry about getting divorced. I don't have to worry about losing my wife's assets. But I said, now I can help you. I said, the truth is you still own the money. And if you want, come in and we'll come up with a resolution for you. So right now we saved her the $1 million, and hopefully we'll save him the $1 million as well going forward.
So
something.
Can I ask you how much that cost in legal fees for you?
So we bill on an hourly basis, and each matter it depends on what's going to happen. So if you wanted, let's say, a voluntary disclosure, that might be a flat fee, and if you wanted something on an hourly basis that wasn't a flat fee, again, it would depend on how much documentation you're going to be giving us, how much we have to discover on our own. It's hard to say. But we would give you some estimate up front before you committed.
Yeah, so was that like around 50,000 to do that, or?
Oh, you froze. We froze. I'm gonna unfreeze. Oh, you froze for a minute there.
Okay, so was that around 50,000 to do that, or like 100,000?
Oh, absolutely not. No. I think I would guess $10,000.
$10,000 to save $500,000?
To save $1 million, not $500,000, a whole million, the entire $1 million.
Good return on investment. So yeah, so it's
again, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee, so you don't know up front. So I'll tell you another story. Years ago, we represent a lot of restaurants and caterers and sales tax audit in sales tax audits. And I was having a discussion with somebody. We were planning a party, and I happened to mention that I handle sales tax audits. And I said, look, as a courtesy for now, if you want, give me a power of attorney, which authorizes me to speak to this government. And I'll see if there's anything I could do. I'll order a copy of the file and I'll look through it and see if there's, anything. I think he had paid in $100,000 after his sales tax audit, and it was already done and behind him. I think maybe he had 1 or 2 more payments. That's really what it was. And you're not allowed to start the action or even ask for the money back until the payments are made in full. So I got a copy of the file, and I realized right away that there was something missing from the file. They were missing a power of attorney for his prior representative during the time period. And because there was a statute of limitations that wouldn't allow them to assess him personally or the entity without that, they were looking for an extension of the statute of limitations, and somebody must have signed something at the time, but it was missing in the file. I said, look, I'll take it on a contingency. If I get you any money back, give me a piece. And so we ended up doing that. He ended up getting back $67,000. And he had just paid in 100. Honestly, I would have gotten back the full 100, but because there was a statute of limitations that was ticking, some of it was not accessible. So you never know. You never know how you could save money. There's always an opportunity to save penalties, like on the federal level. Most people don't know that if you meet certain criteria, you could have a first-time penalty abatement. All you have to do is call up and ask. Unfortunately, not everybody knows to call up and ask, and they don't just automatically give it to you. And then if you don't get it that way, or even if you do get it that way, you might be able to abate additional penalties for reasonable cause, for illness, you had dementia. We represent a lot of relatives who say my father couldn't file or pay on time. He had dementia. And that might be reasonable cause, again, depending on the circumstances, and you have to come forward with documentation to prove it. So we just saved somebody $150,000. Their father and mother both passed away. They owed money, and we were able to do a combination of first-time penalty abatement, which only gives you the first year, and then reasonable cause because they had Alzheimer's.
Well, so it sounds to me like if you think you have any tax problem at all, if you get a free half-hour consultation,
15 minutes, free 15 minutes, although it always goes over.
So you get a free 15-minute consultation, but maybe first you go to the app and you try to figure it out, but this stuff sounds really complicated to me. So then you go and call you for 15 minutes. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost you anything to call you and say, is there anything you can do about this? And you've done so many of these. How long have you been in business?
Yeah, so I'm both an attorney and a CPA, and I have a master of laws in tax from NYU, and I'm doing this 37 years. My firm next year will be in business 25 years, and that's all we do. We are a niche boutique firm. We only do this on a daily basis, handle IRS and New York State tax problems, and we're zealous advocates for you, for the taxpayers. And because we've done it so many times and have such experience, we know the path through the forest. We could give you a solution. Whether you could do it yourself or not is another story. But I usually can see whether there's something that could be done. And I'm pretty good at assessing if I could help. I wouldn't just say hire me and then not be able to do anything. I would only there's a cost benefit analysis that goes on, and I would be honest. I would say, look, you're not getting anywhere with this case. Stop now, or here are the opportunities that may exist, but it might not pay to hire somebody because it's low likelihood of success.
So that's how my husband runs Gearhart Law, where he does patents. So I think he's been doing that for 30 years. So I think attorneys who have a lot of experience, who've been doing this for a long time, in 15 minutes can give you an answer, and that's could be worth thousands of dollars. So it's definitely worth calling you up and getting that 15 minutes. So how do people call you again?
Right. So look, it's almost like a doctor. I'm going to diagnose you, but I'm not going to do the surgery in the 15 minutes.
Right. Right.
Like a doctor.
So,
right.
Right. So you're a CPA and an attorney, and you have a master's in tax attorney, and you also have an invention for kids. Did you want to talk about that on this?
Sure. So because we saw all the financial hardships that people get themselves into, but before I even get to that, I want to talk about the financial hardships that people get into. We represent doctors, lawyers, professionals that you'd be surprised. They make a lot of money, but they might not pay in estimated taxes. They might not be compliant for some reason. And so every year they need an installment agreement, which automatically defaults the next year when they owe more money. So once we saw that people get themselves into trouble, I said, how are we going to teach the next generation of children about financial literacy and the value of money and saving money? And so we did two things. One, we started a nonprofit named Commerce Plaza, where fifth graders go on a field trip from school, and they come and run a business for the day. It's really a hands-on experience. I think Capital One gives us money every year or every other year. IKEA decorated the place, gave us a new kitchen. McDonald's gave the kids lunch for 10 years in a row. So they come and they run one of these 10 mock businesses for the day, and somebody's the bookkeeper and somebody's the banker. And it's an opportunity for each of them to be both business operators and consumers in the day. And it's really an amazing experience. They have a 6-week curriculum in school before they get there, and they fill out a resume and they learn how to write checks. And so you get paid $4.50 as the bookkeeper. You go over to your friend who's 11 years old at Capital One Bank, you make a deposit into your account, and then you could go around to all the 10 different businesses and buy a promotional item if you want, by writing out a check. So it's really an interactive experience. Somebody's the real estate broker, and they have a Velcroed sign. Every time you write out the check for the rent, they pull down the Velcro real estate sign that says for rent. And somebody is the phone, works for the phone company. When you write out the phone bill, whatever it is, the check for the phone bill, they attach the receiver to the phone. I mean, it's really amazing to watch these kids. Separately, we said, now how are we going to teach even younger children? So I started an animated character named Walter the Vault. He's friendly and nice. He's filled up with rhymes and financial advice. Save your nickels, save your dimes, listen well to all my rhymes. And if you do, it's me you'll thank for all the money in your bank. And you could go to walterthevault.com to learn more about that. There's a lot of free games and charts and books, great activities. One is raining change. Money is falling out of the sky and you have to catch. You can either determine, I want to catch all the pennies, all the nickels, all the dimes, all the quarters, or I want to catch $1.25. And you help determine the speed. Also, if you want to look up Commerce Plaza, we donated it to YES Community Counseling, YES Community Counseling. And if you go to their website, it's whatever.org, you'll see there's a button called Commerce Plaza, and you can watch the 4-minute video of the kids in action. I mean, it's really quite amazing to see everything. It's a lot of fun. So I'm thrilled to be able to give back to the community in many ways. You know, during COVID and lockdown, I said, as a tax attorney, what else can we do? And so we gave, I don't know, something like 20 different webinars for free to a number of different organizations to teach everybody what the rules are. The Restaurant Association, the Enrolled Agents, the Financial Planners, the Suffolk Bar Association, the Nassau Bar Association, the State Bar Association, the New York State Bar Association, et cetera. We gave lectures to a nonprofit that also teaches financial literacy. We were on News 12 being interviewed, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we're always trying to help and be out in the community.
That's excellent. So can people find these programs through your website?
You know what? No, I don't have a link on my website, LI Tax Attorney, to the Yes Community Counseling, .org. I think it's yesccc.org or walterthevault.com. I don't. They're separate and apart. I probably should. You could see different interviews that we've had, perhaps on my LI Tax Attorney website. We were at the Long Island Children's Museum for Walter the Vault. They had a kids expo. We were on Fox 5 News in New York. We've done a number of programs through the libraries, et cetera. But I think unless I'm being interviewed for both like this, you probably wouldn't find it on one. You'd probably find it on the other. But we've also written a number of articles that have been in Long Island Business News. And I'm honored to say that I was just selected to be a Business Hall of Famer, which was quite an honor. I'm quite excited. It'll be a virtual program November 30th, but I'll be on the wall at Hofstra's Business School, their wall of Hall of Famers. So I was quite excited about that. And we've been named by a number of different groups by, let's see, I made a list here. We're one of the top 50, I'm one of the top 50 most influential women in business. I'm a super lawyer. The New York Law Journal named us, named me one of the top women attorneys in New York. Long Island Business News named us one of the top tax law firms. We've gotten leadership in the law, reader rankings, top tax law firm on Long Island. So it's quite exciting. We have an amazing team. I always say you could have it all, you just can't do it all yourself. And so you need to surround yourself with a team. And I've had an amazing team, honestly, in the law firm with Yes Community Counseling and Commerce Plaza, and with Wall to the Vault. I have creative people around me, business people around me. It's really been amazing. I've been very lucky. And we're, they say only 2 to 3% of women in America have revenues of 7 figures. And I'm happy to say that we've reached that, for many years in a row. So it's been fun.
That's excellent.
And again, we're here to, I say we're here to help people. And the more we help people, the better we do as well.
Excellent. So it sounds like the perfect tax practice to go to if you have any issues. And like you said, it's a non-judgment zone. Lots of people have IRS problems. So just pick up that phone and call Karen. You get 15 minutes, right? So
absolutely.
Is there anything else that you need to say about your business?
I don't know. You tell me. Is there anything that I missed? You tell me. Is there anything else you would want to know? If you were coming to me, is there anything else that you would want to know?
I think if I were going to come to you, Karen, I would go to your app first. I think that's extremely powerful. And I would look through that and I would see the types of things that you do. And then I would call you and say, look, I see on your app that you do this, or I'd go to your website and I really need help with the IRS. And I mean, I know the whole IRS thing because my husband's accountant was always like, okay, you got to put this much aside. You got to put that much aside. And he'd come and he'd say, oh, we had to pay the taxes. And he kind of felt like maybe there was some stuff left on the table. Like maybe we overpaid sometimes. So I think you're very conscious of that for your clients, and you try to help them not overpay and get back if they've overpaid. And I think people really need to understand what a tax attorney does, and that is one of the things you do.
So that's important. So we do not file tax returns. We work closely with your professionals. And because we have a narrow niche and a concentration, we are complementary to their services. So if you're a non-filer, we could find you an accountant. But if you already have an accountant who's done certain, often you'll go to that representative first. Let's say you're being audited for a residency. You claim you're a snowbird. You claim you moved to Florida, and New York State is saying, no, you're really here. Often the accountant will help you initially. And then when they reach a point where maybe they're getting a bill in the mail for their client for $200,000, they say, oh my God, wait a minute, I might need some help here. And so we'll step in at that point. Or, the second you get the questionnaire that says you may be being audited, or the letter that says you may be being audited, we'll step in at any point to help you. And you'd be surprised, the accountant generally knows the rules, but not specifically. So this morning, as a matter of fact, we spoke at the tax symposium virtually. We called it 5 perspectives of the residency rules. And we had on our panel the top guy in charge of audit at New York State. We also had an accountant, an attorney, a financial planner, and a taxpayer who went through the residency audit. And it was so interesting to hear the different perspectives. So we come in with a different perspective. We are zealous advocates for our taxpayers and for our clients. And obviously the other professionals are as well, but they might not know all the rules. And so everyone thinks, oh, if I stay in Florida 6 months in a day, or if I just keep my driver's license there, or my voter's registration there, and I vote there, that's enough. Well, those are secondary things. And so that's not enough. And the 6 months in a day rule is a different rule. Meaning if you once lived in New York and now you're claiming you moved out, you have to prove that you changed your domicile, and you have the burden by clear and convincing evidence. The 6 month in a day rule is after you got over that first hurdle, and now you just maybe have a place in New York and you spend more than 183 days here. That's when that rule comes into play. And not everybody even realizes that. They say, oh, I'll stay there October through May and that's enough. But guess what? No. And now what happens in a year like COVID, where maybe you were stuck there until July? Now what happens, now that you came back to New York and you say, you know what, I don't really want to be here. What can I do now in this year? Maybe in prior years, I wanted to move. I retired, or I got divorced, or I started a family, or I had a medical reason for moving, and maybe I was unable to prove my change of domicile then. Well, maybe you have another opportunity because there's a reason in this year. I don't want to be in New York anymore. At some point, the rates, it was surging, the rates were high. So the COVID rates. And so maybe at this point, now they're low, obviously, but there was a point where when you were leaving, you couldn't even go into Florida, right? They were checking you at the border. And then, of course, the roles were reversed here. But you have to know the rules, and not just a general rule, because you have the burden. You're going to have to come forward with documentation. How many people say, you know what, if you're a wealthy individual and you have a house here and a house there, how many of them might just buy new furniture, buy new clothes, and there's no moving bill? When did you move? How do you prove when you moved? Did you put everything in the backseat of your car and you drove? You have to come forward and show New York State when you moved. Okay, give me the exact date. Well, in 1 year, you bought a house, and in the next year, maybe you renovated the house, and in the next year, you did the driver's license, voter registration, et cetera. And now here you are. In this year, when did you move? When did you declare, have a declaration of domicile in Florida? When? So those are big issues. And then what happens during COVID when, again, you lived in New York City all your life, you worked in New York City all your life, and now you're working out of your bedroom in your house in the Hamptons? Do you still owe New York City tax? Well, what happens if the answer is yes, if it was only temporary? And now what happens when your lease comes up and you say, I never want to be here again. I'm getting rid of my lease. I no longer have an apartment in the city. My boss is letting me work from home there. Okay. Now, when did you move? Did you move on the day you moved, in March? Or did you move now when you gave up the lease? So this is one of the questions I asked at the webinar this morning. And of course, it depends. It depends on what documentation you come forward with. And by the way, a lot of money could be involved depending on, your career and what you do. So you'd be surprised how there are nuances that not everybody knows about. So we work closely with your representative. If you have an accountant or another attorney, we're not looking to take anybody's clients. We just help you. That's it. We're here to help you. We handle it, and then we move on to the next.
Well, you are definitely a valuable resource. So
Thank you.
well, thanks, Karen. So I learned a tremendous amount today. Thank you. And I will certainly be sharing it with any business owners I know who need to work on anything with the IRS or taxes or anything. So thanks.
So again, if you want to reach me, you could call me at 631-465-5000. You could go to my website, litaxattorney.com. You could download my app, Tax Helpline, or you could write us at taxhelpline@litaxattorney.com. And we're here to help.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
It's fun. Thanks.